golfing idiots. So today we're going to talk about some do's and don'ts when it comes to golf club repair. I've seen some videos on YouTube recently, and some of them, although will get the job done, can potentially cause some other issues and problems. So I wanted to point out a few things when it comes to just the general golf club repairs that you'll typically face when you're working with your clubs. So let's get started. There are some videos out there that talk about removing golf heads with blow torches and then reapplying them. There's a multitude of videos out there. You've got to be careful with this, and this is the first don't. When it comes to heating up a golf shaft to remove a head, you really need the proper equipment and tools to do so. If you overheat the shaft, particularly graphite shaft, you're not going to see this problem with steel, but graphite, and that's usually what people are going after, is trying to work with their driver. If you overheat the graphite shaft and then use a twisting motion and with pressure to remove the club, you can actually twist the graphite. This is not the strongest. Graphite can be very weak when it's hot and heated up, and that's why you need a shaft extractor in order to put the pressure directly against the butt end, the hosel of the club, and push to remove it off the shaft. Push it up. Using a twisting motion and pulling can weaken that shaft, and I've seen them twist and fray, and it's a mess, and you've ruined your shaft. So use proper equipment when removing a head from a shaft. Twisting in a blowtorch, it's going to get it done. Could be a 50-50 shot if you ruin that shaft, and then what are you going to do? Let alone if the shaft breaks off and it winds up in the head. Now what? So, and speaking of which, number two, and this comes from using too much epoxy when applying a golf shaft back in a head. And this can be an iron head or a wood. It doesn't make any difference. But what you will get is epoxy buildup. Let me show you this shaft. This has too much epoxy placed within the shaft, and you can see it's plugged. Okay? Now, you may have a little bit of plugging if you don't have any type of tip weight within the shaft when you're applying it, but this is to show you that this is not, not good. What happens and how this occurs is when people go back to insert the shaft into a head, and I've seen this in other videos too, they will load the epoxy, just load and load and load and load inside the hosel, and they will goop it on the shaft. What that causes is that it's entirely too much epoxy. You got to remember, it's a very fine fit between the shaft and the club head, so it doesn't take that much epoxy. Check my other videos to show you. I'll show you exactly how much epoxy you really need to use. But when people load it up inside the club head and load it up on the shaft and then squeeze that all together, that epoxy, usually the epoxy that they put so much of inside the hosel head, and this can be an iron or a wood, it backs up inside the shaft. And when it does that, it can cause a friction point. So you've caused a plug and a friction point in between where the hosel, when you place the hosel on the head, you've got this friction point. And what it results in is this. You see that? It weakens the shaft, and that shaft will snap right off. Or it can snap right off like this one. If you will look, you'll see the shaft is in there. Again, this is the result of using too much epoxy. So that's another don't. Don't use too much epoxy. You need to use just the right amount. Check my videos. It talks about it's not rocket science, but don't load this thing up thinking that you need just an absolute abundance of epoxy. You're going to mess up your head. And I showed you here about how to easily remove tape from the shaft, or even labels from the shaft for that matter. If you'll just take some heat and apply it, just like in this instance here, you will see that tape just eases right off the shaft, or those labels will ease off the shaft. Sometimes there's a little residue left either from the tape, usually from the labels on a shaft. So if you've got that, I would just tell you to take a little mineral spirits or some of your golf solvent, put it on a rag and wipe it down gently, and the rest of that residue will come off and be very clear. Excuse me, it'll be very clean and very easy. So hey, these were just a few do's and don'ts, and like I said, some of the things I've seen out there on the internet are concerning because I know some of you are looking for answers and you're finding those videos and you're going to do that in your garage, and you're messing up your clubs, and that's tragic and that's terrible. I'm just here to try to show you the right way to go about doing something, or go to a professional, okay? Use a shop if you don't have the proper tools. If you want to get into this type of thing, it's too easy to get the proper tools. It's not a huge investment in order to get the right amount of equipment to do this type of work. So just be careful out there. Watch what you're seeing, what you're learning on YouTube or anywhere else for that matter, and make sure that it's just the right way. Do your research. That's all I ask. Hey, thanks for watching. Hope this helps. If you've got any comments, drop it below. If there's anything else that you've got a question on, drop it below. We'll do a video on it later. So thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe.